Hello, welcome. This is exciting for me. I don't know. I don't know if you're excited, but here we are, a longer form content. As I said, you probably know me from my Instagram, TikTok, comedy reels, but I wanted to do this longer format content slightly more serious. Maybe there'll definitely be some comedy in there for sure, but I wanted to do this because I bloody feel like it. Okay, that's good enough reason for me. And I have been hesitating on this idea to do longer format content, as you do with any new thing that you think that you could do or want to do. But I am finally ready to do it because, well, I was inspired. I was inspired because of this Marty Sheargold bullshit that's going on. If you've been watching my Instagram stories about this, you'll know I am fired up. I am ready. I am ready. Now, I will tame my fire because I don't want to have a, I don't want to have a bushfire, if you know what I mean. But I guess blame it on my Sag sun sign, or my six placements in Scorpio. I don't know, blame it on whatever. But I am riled up about this, and I wanted to go deeper on this, and I wanted to share what I have found, and I want to share my thoughts and my opinions, because I don't see this as very black and white here. I don't. I see a lot of things, a lot of things that are hypocritical. That's going to be my word for this whole episode, I reckon. I think double standards and hypocritical. That's probably those. If you hear those two words, I should do a little ding ding, because I swear they're going to be the biggest words that I probably say in this, the most used anyway. But let's dive into it. So Marty Sheargold. Now, he is first and foremost a comedian. Someone DM'd me yesterday saying he was an Aussie icon, so let's put that there. He's a comedian first and foremost, but he was the host of a Triple M radio show. Look, I have never listened to him. I knew of him, but never really listened to him at all. So that's where I stand. I have no opinion on this guy. So he was fired pretty immediately, within 2 days, after making comments about the Matildas, which is an Australian women's soccer team, and making comments about endometriosis. Okay, so we're going to get into this, what he actually said. We're going to look at the bigger picture. I'm also going to share my thoughts on this. So what did he actually say? He likened the Matildas to 10-year girls playing soccer. That's what he said. He said he doesn't like it. Cool. All right. Marty Sheargold doesn't like to watch women's soccer. Great. All right. What else did he say? He said endometriosis was made up. Ooh. And this is where I can see how he has offended so many people. Oh, this is a tough one. And to, line it up. So it was the one after the other comment that I think really, really made it. And so I understand the uproar by the people that are offended by these opinions. Okay, let's keep it at that, because these are simply opinions by this Marty guy. Now, whether you agree with these comments or not, I don't care, okay? But what happened next is what's interesting. Okay, so what happened next is he was fired for saying those things. Okay, so he was fired by Triple M, which is owned by Southern Cross Media. Now, Southern Cross Media owns a lot of different things. They're a big company here in Australia. They also own Listener, a podcast platform that hosts and produces various different podcasts. A lot of them, in fact. If you have a look at their whatever they produce, there are a lot of different podcasts. Now, one of them is Abbie Chatfield's podcast. It's a lot. Now, stay with me here, okay? Because I get that this train of thought, like, why bring Abbie up, okay? What has she got to do with this? Okay. And I'm not saying that she has anything to do with this. Of course not. I am just pointing out the hypocrisies of this. So Abbie Chatfield, if you don't know who Abbie Chatfield is, then have a look at my 3 parodies, all right? Okay, so Abbie Chatfield. Now, she is a big media personality. She posts pretty much daily on Instagram, TikTok. I'm not going to post her stuff. I don't want to get copyrighted on here, but I will talk about it. She also hosts a TV show called F-Boy Island, hosted on Binge, I believe. It's the Australian version. She takes a pretty left-wing, always a feminist lens to her views. Now, for those who haven't seen F-Boy Island, it's a show about F-boys, fuck boys. Now, it is completely just a TV show. It's all fun and games. It's just like reality TV show, right? It's all just kind of joking, playing around, blah, 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 blah. But the essence of the show is that they're kind of essentially shaming F-boys and trying to reform them in some sort of way. That's kind of the undercurrent, but it's done in a fun way. The guys are laughing about it too, okay? So I'm not, whatever, I don't care. But let's imagine for a second if this was called F-Girl Island. If this was hosted by a male and there were these F-girls, maybe even OnlyFans chicks, and they were making fun of these girls, perhaps trying to reform them out of their ways. You cannot tell me that these girls would be laughing along, that there wouldn't be an uproar. No, because all the feminists would come out and be like, no, it's about it being sex positive. Or whatever they're saying now. We would have an uproar. You and I both know that's true. That if this was about F-girls, there would be an uproar. It would be cancelled. Everyone would be fired. Blah, blah, blah. It would be all over the mainstream media. They would be shaming it. There would be a whole conversation. All the influencers would get up and... Okay, so that's the whole one angle here. And I'm not just saying this is all on Abbie Chatfield. No. I'm saying that this is a mainstream media thing, and the hypocrisy on this is ridiculous. Because these guys can laugh about it. People can watch it and laugh about it. But if the roles were reversed, they would feel too offended to laugh about it. Now, I'm going to go into the social media aspect of what she does. I'm not going to post her stuff. You can find it on her TikTok, Instagram if you want. But I'm going to read out one particular post, or maybe 2. I'm going to read it out and we're going to talk about it, okay? So, just got my notes here. So, this was after International Men's Day.
Why is the male loneliness epidemic my issue?
Why are men in comments going, oh, men's mental health is suffering because we're alone?
Why is that my issue that you're lonely?
That you're so insufferable to be around. And your political views are so damaging to those around you that you have a loneliness epidemic. Why is that my issue? What does that have to do with women? Feminism and women's call to action is about what men and patriarchy do to us. Your loneliness epidemic is a result of individual choices and, you guessed it, patriarchy. So what does that have to do with me? Talk to your bros. Tell them that you love them. Or is that too femme for you? That too girly for you? Go into a hobby that doesn't involve pummeling each other. Or is that too feminine for you? Write your friends letters, telling them how much you love them. Or is that too feminine for you?
What does it have to do with me? Sort it out.
Yeah. Now imagine if that was a male saying all of that about a women's health issue. About endometriosis, let's say. Okay, I'll rephrase it and point it out if this was a male speaking about women. Why is that my issue? That you have endometriosis, that you're so insufferable to be around, and your political views are so damaging to those around you that you have endometriosis. Why is that my issue? What does that have to do with men? Your endometriosis is a result of individual choices, and you guessed it. Let's, instead of patriarchy, matriarchy. You get the point. Now again, I'm using Abbie Chatfield and her content as an example of what mainstream media is going towards. She is a voice for many, many women and some men. She is a voice in mainstream media. And you cannot tell me that you can say all this bullshit because you're a woman. But you can't say, coming from a male point of view, that endometriosis is made up. That's all he said. Who cares what he says? And then she goes on. There's many other videos about, in particular, after Trump winning. She went on about how now men have the right to be sexist because now they think they're the majority because Trump is in power.
Just know they now have permission to be outwardly sexist.
Darling, you're the sexist one. If you're going to label it as sexist, as any of these remarks as sexist, look at yourself, doll. Now, I pointed that to her, but it's going towards mainstream media too, okay? If you're going to fire someone for being sexist, look at what you're projecting throughout your whole media. Everything. Or we stop labeling people as sexist and we start just having a laugh. Get over yourself. Have a laugh. Start taking personal responsibility for your triggers. If you can't laugh at a joke, if you can't laugh at a comedian, have a look at yourself. I'm sick of comedians getting demonized by all of this bullshit. Because every demon that you see out there is just a reflection of what's inside of you. Whatever you see out there in other people is inside of you. Everyone, if you were to look at it, everyone is racist. Everyone is sexist. Everyone has judgments about each other. unconsciously. It is a thing that we do, that our brains do to understand people from the get-go. We're all doing it, and you're just demonizing it within yourself, and then you're projecting it onto other people. See, here's the thing. Apparently, you can only make jokes about certain people, and certain people are off limits. Why? Because they're special. But if there's special people, doesn't that mean we're not equal? And that's the very thing they're fighting for, or they say they're fighting for, equality. These ultra left or feminists, they're fighting for equality. But nothing about this is equal. Nothing. There are complete double standards and a lot of hypocrisy. So Marty gets fired for sharing his opinions, but Abbie Chatfield can share her opinions on right-winged people, anti-vaxxers, men, whoever she doesn't like. She can voice her opinion, go off, offend many, many people, but she can keep her job. She's fine. We can support her. Where is the consistency? Where is the consistency between this particular media brand and really mainstream media in general? There's no consistency. There's none. Absolutely none. And what is even funnier about this is Marty was taking the piss out of the Matildas, this women's soccer team, in which Sam Kerr is one of the Matildas, just a few weeks ago, called a police officer, a male, stupid and white after a drunken altercation or whatever. Absolutely no major repercussions in her career. None. She had a lot of people outraged, offended by what she said, but no major repercussions. If this was a male athlete, you cannot tell me that they would not be fired from their team. Imagine if this was a man speaking to, let's say, an Aboriginal woman, a police officer, saying, "You're stupid and black." Yeah. Imagine that. The uproar. Now, there's always uproar. There's always people being offended. But what makes this different is that someone has been fired and someone has not. And what this says to me is that the mainstream media is pushing a very particular stream of thought and a very particular idea of what is right and what is wrong. And I don't know about you, but I don't like people telling me what is right and what is wrong for myself. No. No. I base that on my own values. And I want to really paint the picture on this, on how much of a dark path this is going down, a breach on freedom of speech, which is one of my highest values, if you couldn't tell, especially being a comedian. Okay, so if you can get fired by having an opinion on particular things, let's say, because that's what this narrative is showing. Okay, so what if we started pushing that the right-wing ideas were more important and more right? Let's look at gender, for instance. this whole thing on trans and all the stuff, right? And my belief, I've been very firm on my belief there is male and female, okay? That's my belief. And, I'm not even going to fight anyone on it. But imagine if we said to people, or in a company, so say a left-wing person who believes there are non-binary people, that trans people can be the opposite gender, if that was their belief, that they could be fired for that, for speaking out loud about that. Imagine that. So this is what I wanted to point out. And I've seen various people on TikTok, whatever. It's mostly on TikTok, I swear. I don't know if it's just my algorithm. But and they're like, yes, freedom of speech, but you got to pay the consequences. And this is a consequence of saying this thing about women. Well, this is only a consequence because you have deemed these opinions right and wrong. I'm going to talk about the actual things that he said. But first, I'm going to get into why I think this is a narrative being pushed. And I think this says a lot about the political angle, because it's a sticky one and you're going to think I'm a bit crazy, but I'm here for it. But I see little patterns in this, okay? I see little threads here connecting the dots. Now, Albanese, which is our Prime Minister and Labor's leader, only a day after Marty Sheargold was fired, he put out a public statement to the press, it was all over the news, that he condemned Marty Sheargold for what he said. He criticised it, said it was disrespectful. Now, why the hell is Albanese making a comment on a petty media thing? Why? Why is he getting his fingers involved in this? Doesn't he have other better things to do? Oh, no, he doesn't have better things to do because he was just on Abbie Chatfield's podcast. Yeah. Apparently, swaying the media is better things to do. Yep. Now, I don't care. I do care. Obviously, these political parties are trying to sway the media. Of course they are, because they see the power in it. And there is power. There is power in the media. And that's what I'm talking about. The narrative, the control that's being pushed through the media and therefore controlling people. So I bring this up because why would Albanese comment on this thing? Why? Because it pushes the agenda that he's trying to sell. He's trying to please these people that are easily offended by these remarks. The feminists, the real left-wing people, the women, I don't know, so many people. Of course he is, because that's why he went on Abbie Chatfield's podcast, to win those voters. He stands for women's rights. He stands for all these things. He's against misogyny, sexist, and they love to use those labels, don't they? If you control the media, you control the vote. It's as easy as that. The mainstream media, anyway. I really don't think this is about protecting women. I really don't think that. I think this has everything to do with winning votes and pushing this one-side narrative. The double standards here are ridiculous. They are absolutely appalling. And I'm wondering, who are the people that this narrative says we cannot make fun of, we cannot have opinions of? I want to talk about this because these are the people that Marty has offended. And I'll explain it pretty, what's the word? I don't give a fuck way. The thread between these people is victim mentality. Okay, Marty has offended women, the women that are caring about what this man says, and he's offended people that have this health condition, endo. Now, there is a through line of this in the mainstream media. Anyone who makes fun of, mocks, or has different opinions with these types of people, the ones that people deem as disadvantaged, as special people, women, they put people of color, queer people, trans people, people with mental health issues, physical health issues, any health issues, ADHD, any of those things. The through line is victim mentality. And I can already hear the screams from these people being like, how can you say that? This is not victim mentality. These are real issues. We're disadvantaged. So this is a game of who's the biggest victim. That's what that is. That's the game. That's the game they're playing. Who's the biggest victim? And if we start playing that game, we are all going to lose, because there is always someone with the biggest cries, the biggest things that happened to them once upon a time. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. The victims. And now, here's the distinction of, there is a distinction of someone who is actually legitimately a true victim in this moment in time, currently right now, okay? To the mentality of victimhood that I'm talking about, where one day or maybe someday in the past or whatever, they have been a victim. We have all been a victim, Dal. We have all had situations, things happen to us, abuse, trauma, stress, whatever it might be, that have caused us to be a victim in that moment. But you have to heal that shit. Or you perpetuate the cycle of victimhood. Now, if anyone knows the victim triangle, oof, damn, this is relevant. Victim, rescuer, prosecutor. This is playing out. This plays out in us, within us, in the media, in our everyday life, in politics. It's everywhere. It is everywhere. And it's playing the cycle of who's the biggest victim. And let me tell you, being a victim gets you a lot of things. It gets you a lot of things. It gets you money. It gets you fame, potentially. It gets you sympathy. It gets you love. It gets you attention. It gets you a lot of things. So, yeah, I can see the ease and the want to just go into that And I've been in that many, many times. And I continuously, every now and again, go into it and be like, oh, why is this happening to me? Why? Why is this happening to me? Why is that person such a bad person? They're hurting me. But I guarantee you, if you're an adult and you're feeling like this, it has nothing to do with the current situation, and it has everything to do with what you've experienced in the past and when you have been a victim. It has everything to do with our childhood trauma, the way we grew up, parents, all that bullshit, conditioning. And so this is the conversation that I want to sway, that I want to move towards, is how can we stop being so victimized and personally offended by people that have different opinions to us, and instead take responsibility for how we're feeling and how we're triggered and what that triggers in us. There is no personal responsibility in that victim state. So if you want to get out, if you want to stop playing the victim because it's ruining your fucking life, because it is, it's ruining your life, you need to take personal responsibility. That you are the creator of your life. You are manifesting it, whatever you want to call it, from your beliefs, from your subconscious beliefs. So before you put the blame out here, blaming this Marty guy for the hurtful things that he said, look at yourself. Look at yourself and ask yourself, why are you so offended? Why are you so angry? Why are you so triggered? And before you put the blame on me now, because I'm pointing it out, why are you so triggered? Because on one hand you say, well, you shouldn't care what other people think. But, oh, I care what this guy thinks because he's hurt me. No, you can't have it both ways, honey. Personal responsibility. We have got to take more responsibility for our shit. And I'm looking at everyone, all right? I'm looking at myself. Sometimes I have those blind spots, like we all do. And now I'm not going to say that all these people that are triggered by Marty they're not entitled to being offended. Of course they are. Of course they are. You have every right to feel what you're feeling. And of course, feel the feelings. But it should not mean this guy gets fired. Because the amount of double standards on this is ridiculous. The amount of people that Abbie Chatfield has offended and hurt is ridiculous. And she still has her platforms, all right? So the double standards here are because the people that this guy is offending are the ones with the loudest cries, the ones in the victim going, wah, wah, wah. They're the loudest ones. They're the ones trying to cancel everyone because they can't handle it within themselves that someone has a different opinion to them because they're insecure, because being in the victim is all about shame. Feeling shame. And I'm sorry. I am sorry for whatever happened to you that made you feel like a victim. Because I 100% guarantee that your life has not been easy, that you've had shit happen that has created this identity, these beliefs, these traumas that have made you feel worthless, that have made you feel like everything's happening to you. I get it. But this is how you step out of that, is you have to heal it. You have to Go to the actual source. And I'm betting that the actual source is from these people that have had people in their lives personally, maybe their father, go down the father wound rabbit hole, maybe some sort of male in their life, perhaps various doctors telling them that what they're feeling is irrelevant, that there's nothing wrong with them, whatever the stories are, whatever they've had in their life. It's whatever Marty is saying, that is triggering all of that bullshit that's happened in the past. And now you're taking it out on Marty. Now, the narrative that they are pushing is that women are disadvantaged and less privileged than men. That's the narrative that they push. But wowee, am I living in a different reality? Do we as women in Australia not have every right a man does? Can anyone let me know? Can anyone let me know? It's because from my lens, we have every right as much as men do. And we actually have unique individual biological rights, actually. Like as male and female, we have different rights, but we do have equal rights in that sense. We can vote, we can get a job, we can play sport, we can do anything a man does, and vice versa, except for our biological differences. We can give birth, okay? So we've got some entitlements there that men don't have, which is somehow a touchy subject, but okay, that's one of our different rights that we have. But I'm so sick and done with the narrative that they're pushing that we live in a patriarchy, that we somehow are disadvantaged by being women. Just by simply being women, we're victims. No, doll. No. The issue that people have with this, in this situation, is the fact that we are very different, male and female. We're different. We're biologically different, okay? Biologically different. So as much as we can have all these equal rights, we will never, ever be the same. And therefore we cannot truly have equality like you truly want. Because we are fundamentally, biologically different. We have a lot of similarities, but also a lot of differences. And so we cannot be 100% equal because we're running different races. But I want to shift the conversation about trying to be equal and seeing the strengths in both genders, seeing the strengths of being a woman, that we can give birth, that we're incredibly emotional beings. We're incredibly intuitive. In fact, our intuition is incredible. Incredible. Every woman I know, their intuition is seriously psychic. And the benefit to society with that is incredible. We are incredible beings as women. I love being a woman. I love it. But a lot of people don't love it because they think it's not as good as being a man. Because of the conditioning, because of the trauma, because you're trying to be equal with these men. We're not in the same league. We have our own strengths. Now, males, on the other hand, they are also incredible. Incredible. The physical strength that males have, the logic that they have, incredible. They have built incredible things, houses, whatever else. Males are incredible, just as incredible as women. And so I'm sick of this male and female fight. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. We're different, and we always will be. If you have issues with men, if you find yourself in this feminist space, this really hardcore feminist space, I pray to God that you look at your issues with men. I've been there. I've been there. I used to blame every man for every issue. I used to blame my dad for everything. I'm not going to go into my trauma, but that was my story. I had that story. I blamed all my exes, my relationships, my partners. Because guess what I couldn't do? Ding, ding, ding. I couldn't take personal responsibility. Now, I get it. We've been taught as a society, in our family, to not take personal responsibility. If you grew up in a household similar to me, similar to a lot of people, is personal responsibility was not taught by our parents because of various reasons, but whatever. Media doesn't teach it. No one is teaching it. I mean, there are people teaching it. But I get it. It's easier to blame other people than it is to look at ourselves and look at the beliefs that are playing out and what we're truly angry at. The injustices that we've experienced. So I guarantee you, whatever issue you have with a man in your life at present day, as an adult, will directly be related to your issues with your father or any sort of male that had an impact on you from growing up from the ages of 0 to 14. Yep. I'm going to drink my tea. Now, one of the other things that Marty touched on was endo. Now, I could go off on this. I could have another 40-minute episode on this. I might do that, but after this, if anyone wants it. But I do have a unique experience with it. Having studied nutrition, health science, working in mind-body treatment, neuroplasticity, I've worked with a lot of chronic illness people, chronic health issues. I've gone through my own stuff. I'd love to talk about this stuff. But it could be another 40 minutes, so let's not. Let's break it up. So I'm going to hammer this home. I'm going to go and just close the statement on this. We're tired of being labeled as sexist, misogynistic, as racist, as homophobic, as transphobic, as a bigot, all the words that you use to basically try and shame someone because they have a different opinion to you. We're tired of the labels. It's just boring at this stage. Because I want to look at the facts, the objectives here, not the emotions. Not the emotions. And the facts here is that this whole situation with Marty is a complete double standard. If you're going to fire someone else for having opinions that hurt people. Now, I don't believe in cancellation. I don't believe that anyone should be fired. No, that is not what I want. I don't want Abbie fired. I don't want anyone fired for having opinions unless they're violent or threatening violence. I definitely agree they should be fired. But I'm talking about straight objective opinions. I believe in freedom of speech. Of course I do. So I don't want anyone fired. But if you're going to fire someone, make it across the board. You cannot say what opinions are right and what are wrong. And this is the narrative that they're pushing through mainstream media. What is right and what is wrong. And it is, I guarantee you, all a way to win your votes. They're preying on your emotions here. They're preying on your insecurities, your victimhood. I very much doubt that they care, that they truly care. I'm sorry to say it, but I doubt politicians care about you. We've got to stop being offended by everything that everyone has to say. Who cares what Marty has to say about women's issues? Just tune out. Tune out. If you don't like someone, you don't have to listen to them. You can set boundaries. Firing someone is hardcore. It's hardcore and it is unfair, unjust. Meh. We cannot selectively punish opinions. Because who's selecting this? Who's selecting it? But if someone else is calling the shots, if more right-wing people were in power right now, you would definitely agree that you do not want people to be punished and fired because of their personal opinions. If we continue down this road, the question isn't who will be cancelled next, it'll be when. When will that happen? Because I guarantee you, if we're going to play this game of people can be fired for having opinions, then as soon as right wing get in to power, whatever that looks like in Australia, then they'll go, oh, well, let's get Abbie Chatfield off. Yep, she said some harmful things because her opinions are wrong now. We're going to fire her for that. Do you get what I'm saying? It's absolutely ridiculous, and I will be continuing to speak up about this. Let me know what you want to hear next. Let me know if this lands, as the Byron Bayers say. Let me know if you do want the conversation on endo. Let me know. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you soon. Bye.